This is Believing Buckeyes. I'm Bryant, All-American cornerback Chimdi Chekwa. We in a great mood. We went to Happy Valley. I couldn't say it last week. I couldn't think of the name, but we went to Happy Valley over the weekend, and we played the number 3 team in the nation in the Penn State Nittany Lions, and our Buckeyes came out on top, 20-13. It was a fantastic weekend to kick off the month of November. Chim, how you doing, man? How you feeling?
I feel good, man. You know, this is the win that they needed. Like this was the win that I expected, right? You know, my feelings towards Penn State, I make it very clear. But it's the one that they needed as well. Top 5 matchup, a team that you got to respect, a team that has a lot of talent. On the road, hostile environment. Penn State is one of my favorite places to play. Now, I prefer a night game, but still, just the way that the crowd is, that environment, it's. I mean, like they make a lot of noise. Fans are going crazy. Student section is going crazy. But they didn't have nothing to go crazy about this game.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Not at the end.
No, not at the end there. Yeah. So I think Penn State, I think they had a crowd of about, I want to say the number was like 110, 111,000. It was literally the largest crowd at Penn State Stadium that they have ever had for any game. And that was our Buckeyes coming in and obviously being able to go in there and take care of business, man. But it was a fantastic game. Obviously, there's a lot of things to be proud of, a lot of things to rave about. But like you said, this is definitely a game that we needed, right? After especially we lose to Oregon and not so great performance against Nebraska. But it just lets us, I guess, kind of almost confirms that, you know, that we are in the actual mix, that we are that team that we thought we were before the season, and that we could go on to win the Big Ten and be national champions. I mean, obviously a lot of things to be happy about. But let's start off with talking about our defense, who only allowed 6 points for the day, no touchdowns. Talk about your silver bullets, man.
What no touchdowns, bro. This is impressive, man. Like, I don't want to, you know, Drew Aller is a good college quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. You know, I think most of the football analyst world says that he's a great college football quarterback. I don't believe so. But to be able to go on the road against a top 5 team and they don't score no touchdown, like that's impressive. But even to take it a step further, you get you're in a situation where they're on the goal line and they need a yard pretty much to tie the game up, and to be able to have that goal line stand, like that's impressive. I just like the approach on defense in general, from the scheme to the way the guys executed the play call. This is what we didn't see versus Oregon. You know, the aggressive scheme, the corners playing press, playing man, as they played a lot of man-to-man coverage because they like their ability to cover these receivers. Penn State has not shown a real vertical threat all year. So I think advantage was Ohio State in that regard. But aside from that, just the blitzes, sending pressure, sending some zone blitzes, not going all out, right? Not sending pressure where it's boom or bust type situations, but really throwing some different looks at Penn State that they had trouble with. There was one particular third down where they ran kind of a trap coverage blitz. They sent Cody Simon and Jordan Hancock from the nickel, played cover 2 behind it. They dropped a defensive end. Like, if you just watch the quarterback, we talk about affecting the quarterback, right? At first, he thinks he sees single high, man to man, and then boom, they roll to a cover 2, and then boom, he has 2 guys blitzing on a guard who has to choose which guy to block, and now you have Cody Simon free for the sack. Like, that's the type of scheme that I anticipated coming into the year. One, because you have experienced defense, you have guys who have been in the system for a while who can handle a ton of things and can do all the things you want them to do on the field. But I think the number one thing that we didn't see during Oregon game that we saw in Penn State, the guys just got lined up and attacked at the snap. And with this type of team, man, it really is that simple to be able to have this type of effective game.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess, obviously, like I say, the defense was very impressive. I think they gave up the field goals that they did give up. I believe one was on the first drive of the game, and I believe the second one was like the first drive of the Penn State's first drive in the third quarter, so coming out of half. But, if you think about it, we had a goal line stand basically to end the first half. And obviously have the goal line stand to essentially end Penn State's chances on offense. And I guess obviously there's a lot of game balls essentially you kind of hand out. But I guess first person is the cornerback, man.
Yeah.
Davidson, Igbinosun, obviously he makes the huge play at second quarter with the interception. But I guess the biggest thing to me is the play right before it, right? He gets I think I don't know if they call holding or pass interference, one of the two, but he basically gives up the play, right? The guy still catches the ball that puts him in position. And then the next play, he fights to a ball with the same receiver and catches an interception. I guess, what do you could say about his play and like his, I guess his tenaciousness, like to just kind of stay out there and keep fighting and competing. And eventually, due to it, you make a huge play.
Yeah, I think he's been a difference maker since he stepped foot at Ohio State. He's a freshman All-American at Ole Miss, transferred to Ohio State. And one thing prior to him coming to Ohio State, one thing that I thought the defensive backs lacked was that kind of that competition. Like, they didn't compete for the ball the way you would expect. They were always in position, in position. But a lot of the plays that were being made, he just wanted to see a little extra fight. And that's what I always thought it took. And that's what we always would talk about. When he comes into the building, that's what he brought. And then you saw the level of play rise from everybody, because guys who had the talent now also had the understanding of, you got to compete for this ball. And that's what he did, man. He does it every play, a little bit too much, which leads to some holding calls, some holding penalties. But on that particular play right before half, which was a big-time play, huge play. Why? Because we had a pick six to start the game, right? We had a fumble out of bounds, leading. We were about to score a touchdown, fumble out of bounds to a touchback. That's 14 points. Right. Now, Penn State is driving down the field, right? And they're in position to score. Field goal or touchdown, they're going to get one of them. If they're able to put points on the board, they put themselves in a great position coming out at halftime. He had that penalty right before that, and then they try to throw another fade route on his side, and he just competes for the ball, right? Like, the ball is right there for the receiver. He competes for it. It's right there, so he ends up with it, and he gets up with the ball. And it's crazy because the commentator's like, it's a touchdown. I was like, no, that wasn't a touchdown. I didn't know that he possessed the ball and that it was a pick, but I know for a fact that wasn't a touchdown.
Yeah.
So he was his aggressive play, what he brought. I thought he really set the tempo, and you saw it across the board, man. I gotta highlight the two safeties, Lathan Ransom, Caleb Downs. Both of them, they had a tough matchup all game on one of the best, probably the best player on Penn State's team.
Yeah.
Right, and there was a lot of talk of
Warren.
Yeah, like, they need to get Warren the ball. They need to get Warren the ball. Well, Warren is getting is getting pressed, is man-to-man coverage all game against these safeties. And these safeties were doing a really good job. He had the one pass that he caught, I think it was like a 30-yard fade route. That was a tough pass to catch. Like, that's not a high percentage of pass. Like, you can't do that all game, bro.
Yeah.
So, and then on the goal line, they tried to give him the ball again on the fourth down, and Lathan Ransom took it away. So I just thought the defensive backs did what they're supposed to do. But Jim knows putting these guys in position to lean on them to be able to play tight coverage, be aggressive all games so that they could do this stuff up front. The way the rushing coverage worked together, man, it was an impressive defensive effort all around on the road in a hostile environment.
Yeah, that's for sure. And another thing I wanted to highlight, because, I mean, before the season, if we were just talking about just the defense and experience, right? What position, are we lacking? Maybe a little bit of experience. And obviously we know the talent is there. But we talk about our linebackers, right? You got Cody Simon, obviously, who played a ton, right? But was never essentially that number one starter, right, for Ohio State. maybe it was an injury the previous years. He'll start the game, but played a ton, so he had some experience. But after that, we really had nothing, right? We had Sonny Styles that's changing positions. Then we got a bunch of young guys from there, and C.J. Hicks, and then also an Arvell Reese, who we could see, they play Reese now in known running type of situations. But we didn't have a lot there. But you're looking at the game, right? I mean, I think both those guys played fantastic. Cody Simon has 10 tackles, 5 solo, a sack, tackle for loss. Sonny Styles, who was still learning the position, and also we seen what he did last week. He has a couple of weird little issues kind of going on, but he goes out there and he have 9 tackles himself and 4 solo. Obviously, I think our D-line played well. Our D-tackles played great. Caden McDonald with a singly stopping one of those goal lines play by taking the center and pushing them 3 yards in the backfield. But the linebackers, I feel like they definitely stepped up. In the game against Penn State, when they're not going deep, so they're keeping things in front of you, sideline to sideline, I feel like those guys kind of stood up and definitely took on the task and played well. Sure.
Yeah, they did good. And some of it is just the change in scheme. Obviously, there's we had some issues versus Oregon, so they've been focused on what we do defensively. But when you let those guys blitz a little bit more, when you let those guys just attack and not have to think too much, not just sitting back and being RPO'd all game and trying to figure out, is it run pass? It gets them going. And I think, leaning on the defensive backs to be able to be versatile. Some of them are going to blitz. Some of them are going to be able to press. Some of them are going to be able to are going to move to cover 2, move to cover 3. You have a experienced group of DBs who can do almost everything on the field. You see Igbinosun in the backfield making tackles, right?
You're right.
Because those guys can feel those positions and understand what they're supposed to do in those situations, that level of versatility allows you to take some really good linebackers who are really good at blitzing to just go take the head off the quarterback or go run into the gap and blow something up. And it makes the whole defense play better. And I really, the defense played great, but I really like the approach from a scheme standpoint, because they also not just going all out, right? They're playing situational football. They're disguising in a way. When they versus Oregon, the disguises, to me, some of them didn't make sense. It's you guys are sacrificing your coverage or your position or where you're putting yourself out of position trying to disguise. Instead of, lining up and then moving to something that'll confuse the offense, but also allows you to still play fast. And I think they've kind of reached that balance so far in the last 2 games. Yeah. I think more so in this last game. And this is what I want them to carry into Indiana versus Michigan and on. So I'm excited to see the defense continue to play at this level.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now it's time to talk about some fat man football. It's time to talk about what we call 4-minute offense when your team is up, right? So you guys playing 4-minute offense, people who may not be familiar. Your team is up. You now have the ball.
Yep.
And at the offensive line, you say, hey, we got to run this clock out. And literally by running the clock out, you tend to want to run the ball. If it is a pass, it's a short pass, right? So you know that you're going to get a completion that's going to lead to another tackle, so that clock to continue to run. Our defense stand tall, right? Goal line, 4th quarter, we stop them. They go for it on 4th down. They incomplete pass. But now we get the ball at the 1-yard line, right? And I think we start off with a QB sneak. QB sneak, we get 5 yards on the QB sneak. Our O-line is blowing off the ball.
Right.
And then from there, when we get the ball, it's 5 minutes, 13 seconds left. We're on the 1-yard line. The offensive line start off with the QB sneak to kind of get us some space. And then from there, we run the ball for the rest of the game. Penn State is no more drama to the game because the offensive line essentially ends the game by running the ball with our running backs and our quarterback, and we essentially end it from there, man. I watched it. I've been watching the clips all I keep watching that last drive, man. It's like a 2-minute clip on Twitter. I just keep watching it, man. Because it's just such a proud moment, man.
It's beautiful to watch as a Buckeye fan. As a just looking at it from the eyes of a defensive player. if I was in that situation on defense, oh man, it's a painful situation. It's a painful situation where you're down by 7 points. There's 5 minutes left on the clock. There's a ton of time left in the game to put your offense back in position to go do something, and you can't stop a run play. And now the defensive coaches are scrambling. What do we call? Let's go A gap pressure. let's miss both corners. And they just continue to not be nothing you call is working. Nothing's working. And it just seemed like everything. And then you have quarterback run. It's just like, man, it's a demoralizing thing. But that, that's not something we've seen a lot of from Ohio State. That's something that we've been wanting, right? The last couple years, I should say.
Man, yes. I mean, we have not seen it at all. I mean, even against Nebraska, right? We had a chance to run the clock out against Nebraska. We ended up getting a 3 and out, and obviously we was on our third on the season, our second left tackle for the game. And it's like, yeah, we really need to run the ball out here, and I think we gained a yard. Just Nebraska got like 1 yard before we ended up giving the ball back. But I mean, obviously that was not the story this Saturday. I mean, obviously for this game, the offensive line obviously shaking up, right? Zed Milowski goes down, who was already our backup offensive left tackle. Donovan Jackson goes out to left tackle. Not on the collegiate level, essentially no experience there, right?
Yeah.
And you hear some quotes from him before the game. It's like, okay, you're gonna play left tackle later. I'm gonna go. It basically kind of stood to the point that, hey, last week we was embarrassed as offensive line. We only averaged 2 yards a carry as offensive line. It was embarrassing, a very embarrassing performance. I'm gonna play whatever I need to play to try to right the ship. And obviously the team needed him to step into that left tackle position. And you pull in Carson Hinsman at the left guard position. He hasn't played. He played some, but not very meaningful snaps all season, right? Obviously, he was a starter last year at center. He was fighting for the right guard position in the preseason, didn't win. He steps into the game against Penn State at left guard. And then obviously the rest of the front, we kept it the same. We got Seth at center, Tegra at right guard, Josh Fryer at right tackle. And, man, I think they just played fantastic, man. I can't recall any penalties for the day off our offensive line. We obviously were able to run the ball in a very hostile situation. Yeah. As in at the end of it, just to be able to run the clock out like that, man, it's as a former offensive lineman, like it just don't get any better, man.
Yeah, it's beautiful. My question would be, so you have Donovan Jackson at the left tackle. One, grade his performance at left tackle in the run game versus the pass game. And also, do you think, say everybody gets healthy, obviously Simmons is out for the year, but Zen comes back healthy, do you think they keep it the same with Donovan Jackson at that left tackle position?
If it's me, no. I don't want to. Donovan Jackson is a guard. Obviously, this past week was his stiffest, probably the best pass rusher that he would see, right? Unless we happen to play Tennessee. It's probably the best pass rusher he'll see on a collegiate level. And he did okay in the passing game. Obviously, he did give up, I think it was 2 sacks to Abdul Carter in the game. Not on him. Those sacks are directly on our coaches for putting him in that position. Yeah. And obviously, I played tackle, right? I played tackle for a season at Ohio State as a redshirt freshman, redshirt junior, and senior. I was a guard. And it's a much different things you have to do and be prepared for. And I think he went out there and he battled. Overall, his performance is an A+, Shim, because we ran the ball for 5 minutes to end the game across the board. But like I say, if you're going to do that, you have to be mindful of it. And I think most of the game we were. But just a couple of times, and I guess we had to kind of test the water to see how it would go.
Right? You had to see
Abdul Carter is not the guy that you want to, kind of play games with. And obviously, like I said, they led to sack. But he battled. And a lot of times when it comes to offensive linemen, the technique of things will help you. Knowing what you need to do will help you. But when it comes down to it, sometimes you just have to get gritty. You have to fight. You have to make sure your guy, no matter where he goes, no matter how this unfolds, your guy don't make the play. And I feel like That really was the mindset of the unit. Don't let your guy make a play. And obviously, when it came down to it, we did enough to keep our quarterbacks clean, our running backs having some lanes, and overall, I would say it was definitely a successful day. But I was gonna say in the future, if Zen is healthy, my opinion, I don't know what the coaches are thinking. Right, they could keep him out there. Obviously, one game against Penn State and left tackle for Diamond Jackson. He's going to be a much better offensive tackle now because of that pass rush. He's just not going to see it again. But overall, I thought that Zen has some ability. He is more of a natural tackle. We've seen him go out against Oregon. He played, 3/4 of that game. He played fairly well. Obviously, the Nebraska game wasn't his best game, but I think if you caught our last episode, if not, go back and listen to it. It was a lot of positive things there, even though he was giving up some plays. So I think he could grow from it. Obviously, we don't know his injury status. It's college football. We don't get reports. We don't know. We just know it seemed like a lower body injury, I think, to his left foot, leg, knee. We don't know. But in my opinion, if he's healthy, I would try to give him that opportunity to get back out there and let Diamond Jackson stay in his natural guard position.
Okay. So we talked about most of the good. There was some bad, right? There was some bad. It really starts off with turnovers. Turnovers in a hostile environment on the road are never a good thing. Pick sixes to start the game. Oh my God, it couldn't have started worse. Like, you couldn't have started the game in the worst way. Maybe giving up a return for a touchdown. Maybe would be.
We saw that before, right?
if you look up the percentages, and this is for the NFL, but the percentage chance of your team winning after a defensive touchdown is like 70%. Like, it just jumps up like crazy high. In the NFL, obviously, you have teams that are very evenly matched in terms of talent, right? So Penn State, Ohio State, close in terms of talent. So in the same way, when you give up 7 points and don't even force their offense to have to call plays and drive down the field to actually get those points, that really puts you behind the 8 ball. But that wasn't it, though. Right?
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Obviously, what's that? The second quarter we had that drive. Second quarter we have a nice drive, very good drive, promising drive. We're hitting on a lot of things, and essentially our quarterback, he can use his legs, right? He's stepping up, he's running, he's on the side. I believe Travion Henderson had a fantastic block that play. He essentially run over a linebacker, just flattens him. Crazy play. And then we got I think we got maybe 6 inches to a touchdown. It was probably about a foot to the touchdown. And then our quarterback gets the ball. Will Howard gets the ball slapped out his hand, fumbled through the end zone, which equals a touchback for the other team. I don't know, man. It's weird because, it's tough to be mad at Will Howard, right? Because he does so many things well. You see all the decisions he's making. He's throwing touchdowns. He's stepping up in the pocket. But, man, pick 6 and the fumble in the end zone, that's 14 points. That's
it's really kind of unacceptable. It's like he does one bad thing a game, but it's kind of like 1 or 2 bad things a game. But it always is extreme. The perfect game, and I'm just gonna throw one to the other team in zone coverage where picks are gonna happen. Guys are gonna throw picks. That's the reality of it. But it just seems like it's some of the worst ones. This was just a bad pick. This guy's clearly in zone, and you threw it right to the guy. And the worst part about it is the pick 6. The one thing I usually like about Terrell is that when Terrell threw a pick, he was gonna go get the tackle. Right. Just give us a chance. Give our defense a chance. This defense, who didn't give up no touchdowns, give them a chance to get a stop. They could go get out there a certain chance to get a stop. So that's stuff that has to be cleaned up. That is, those things could lose you a game. Those things are likely. Let me rephrase it. They're likely to lose you a game when you play against a top 10, top 5 team. They're likely to be the difference in being able to win a game. It wasn't the case in this game because offensively and defensively, I feel like they was dominant on both sides of the ball for a good portion of the game. So was able to overcome pretty much spotting Penn State 14 points.
14
Taking
points,
14
right.
points off the board and giving 7 points.
Yeah, right. All right. I mean, think about it, though. If we have those plays, we don't have, let's say we throw an interception and they don't score. Let's say they get a field goal or something like that. Then we get that touchdown. Like, the whole game is different. We're not talking about a goal line stand to win it. We're not talking about, certain of these things, because at the point we're running up the score on them right now. It's kind of getting pretty lopsided. So we got to clean it up. Obviously, that's not we got to start winning the turnover margin, right? Especially on the road. That's not something you want to live with. And hopefully, all you can do is say, hopefully, you do better. When you make a mistake, make it, midfield or something, and at least put it in a position that we could get the guy down and don't lead the points, man. But I just wanted to shout out one more thing for Will Howard, though. He stated before the game, he kind of put a little bit of bulletin board material. I'm from Pennsylvania. I always wanted to go to Penn State. Coach Franklin stopped recruiting me. We're gonna find out if I was good enough to play. And the same thing for Drew Ayler. He's from Northeast Ohio, right? I mean, so I'm sure he whether he said it or not, he wanted to really show Ohio State that he was good enough to maybe potentially come here. Our guy got the job done this past Saturday, and we go on to the season to see if we can get the rest of our accomplishments done. Obviously, next week, though, we got Purdue. Purdue is 1-7. Don't got a lot to say about Purdue because they're one. It's the Big Ten. You schedule 2 or 3 wins in the season.
I don't understand how Purdue at this point in the season only has 1 win. Like, you got to schedule another win. Like, what is going on? Like, you're setting yourself up for failure. It's Purdue. This should be a trap game because Purdue isn't very good, and there's a better team down the line in Indiana that exists out there. In the past, Purdue has been kind of a trap game. We experienced a loss to Purdue. As a top team when Purdue was was unranked. But this Purdue team just seems so bad. Like, they just seem like they're not even at the level to even set a trap. They don't got it. So I'm kind of looking past them.
They got a lot to work on. But it'd be a week that we should play well. Yeah. It'd be a week for our young guys. We play well early, get our young guys out there so they could get some of that November experience. Because as we know, a lot of these guys are one play away, and we're asking them to go out there and really compete to win the game. And then, so it is what it is. And if you're into betting, jump on Bet Online. I believe the spread for this game in Ohio State is at 37.5 points. So, Vegas think we'll win big. So
that's check it out on Bet Online. That's a lot of points. There's a lot of points to be counting on to win a bet. So I don't know. South Carolina has been good for me on Bet Online. South Carolina, because they've already lost 3 games. Everybody writes them off, but they've gotten so much better, compared to who they used to be. And all the SEC teams are overrated. So every time South Carolina lines up against a ranked SEC team, there's this expectation that they're gonna lose, and they've been either beating the spread or beating the team. So
that's it. But that's our show for the week. Obviously, this is a big week for us. Penn State remains in Chim's Tier 2 teams in the Big Ten. They're able to do it once again. Obviously, good luck to them for the rest of the season, as long as they're not playing the Buckeyes, right? So that's our show. We'll catch you guys here in a week or so. Maybe we have to jump on online and talk a little bit more ball and break down some plays if we have the opportunity to. Follow us on all platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're there. Check us out. And all our shows with an OH.
Ayo.
Go Bucks. Talk to you guys soon.
Go Bucks.